Tubi Recommendations. And then I have a video from Matt Berry, who thank you very much, Matt, for helping me do these Tubi recommendations. You should check out his new short, Scared to Death 2, on his YouTube channel. And you should subscribe to his YouTube channel because Matt is a great guy. But I want to say, Tubi is a different kind of streaming service because you really got to search for good things, which is why I have Matt on specifically for Tubi stuff, because he is one of the greatest cinephiles I've ever met, and he can find cool stuff, and he did. But let me get to my picks first. I did search around, and there is cool stuff on here, and I will say, like, type in years, type in actors you want, you'll always find obscure things on here, and I did find some cool obscure things as well. So, one of the things that what I think I'm going to watch tonight when I do the time code that I found is they have Desperado, which is Robert Rodriguez's follow-up to his big indie movie. Coincidentally, since I just reviewed Mallrats, I'm watching a director whose sophomore effort people seem to like, actually. And I remember having pleasant memories. I don't like it as much as El Mariachi, but it's like a fun little action film if you've never seen it. They also have, and this is one of the great film noirs, used kind of like minimal cinematography, using kind of like one light in certain cases. T-Men. If you want to get into film noir and see some really cool, interesting black and white cinematography, T-Men is really, really great. Then after that, Magic Mike XXL is going to be on Quibi. It said expired 4 days ago yesterday, so I think you have 3 days, and when you're watching this video later, probably 2 days. If you've never seen Magic Mike XXL, it's actually a lot of fun. These next two are kind of just funny things I found. Maybe you can call them recommendations. One is called Quarantine Relationship. It is literally a movie about COVID. It's about an undercover detective who's doing an undercover sting, and he's stuck with a psychotic suspect in quarantine during COVID. I don't know if I'll watch that, but I appreciate that someone has made a movie that quickly. As well as someone made Titantic 2 about a second boat going on its journey, and I like that it's literally titled Titantic 2. After that, this was a recommendation that Matt recommended me last time. It was called Cuban Rebel Girls, or Assault of the Cuban Rebel Girls. It was a really cool documentary about Errol Flynn's girlfriend at the time, who was really into kind of Fidel Castro and what was going on in Cuba at the time. I would recommend it after Matt recommended it last time we did Tubi, but I have watched it as well, and I can also recommend it. Also, they have Muppets from Space, which I reviewed recently. Thought I would bring up that one. As well as they have, which was a pretty good Milos Forman film. I haven't seen it in a long time, but they have The People vs. Larry Flynt, which is a pretty good biopic. As well as they have the Dolph Lundgren film I actually watched last week when I was doing the time code and posted about it on Twitter, Silent Trigger. It's not a great movie, but if you need something on in the background that you can mostly ignore and see some alright shooting in there, they have Silent Trigger with Dolph Lundgren. I also watched Retrograde, which was really bad, so don't watch that Dolph Lundgren movie. I'm kind of in a tradition of just going through Dolph Lundgren stuff. As well as they have some obscure animation stuff, which I wanted to bring up. One of is Tom and Jerry and Friends. This is not Tom and Jerry, Cat and Mouse. This is like two guys named Tom and Jerry that were named that before the Cat and Mouse. I'm completely serious. They have a compilation of those on Tubi. I thought that was actually pretty cool that they actually had that, so you should check that out. They have Mystery Science Theater episodes. If a streaming service has some Mystery Science Theater thing, I have to recommend it. One thing I will recommend is Mitchell. It is a classic episode because it's the final Joel episode, and then when Mike comes in and becomes the host. Even though that makes it a big episode, Mitchell is one of the funniest episodes of Mystery Science Theater ever. If you're into Mystery Science Theater, or even slightly into it, I would definitely recommend this episode. They also have one of the classic cool cult movies called The Visitor. The Visitor, which was like a kind of a failed like alien, spiritual alien kind of movie. It's so hard to describe, but Alamo Drafthouse, it's one of those like right before Roar they picked up. It was like kind of like crazy movies you can't believe sort of thing. You should. It's a really cool cult movie, but it's so weird now. They're trying to make like an alien exorcist thing. It's cool. They also have the original Django on there, which is great. As well as they have Monsters, which is the first film from the guy who directed Godzilla, which is a really cool movie. I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember being really excited for it. I don't think I've liked Rogue One or Godzilla as much as I like Monsters, but I did really like Monsters. It's on there. They also have Lion, which I'm only recommending because of the Tron 3 thing. So if you have ever wanted to watch Lion, it's free on Tubi. I should also add, which I didn't at the beginning, that Tubi is a free streaming service. Not only is it cool that they have this weird selection, but it is also free, which is also great. They also have a great Lynn Ramsey film we need to talk about, Kevin, which I also recommend. And then finally, they have the Heidi anime series, which I believe Isao Takahata and Hayao Miyazaki worked on, and I don't think that's very available in America. So I would definitely say check that out. Now, I'm going to go to Matt with his recommendation. Get some good recommendations to check out, and I hope that you enjoy them. And thank you, Matt, for doing this.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry, and I'm back with 5 more of my top movies currently streaming on Tubi. My first pick is John Cassavetes' Husbands, an independent film from 1970. It stars Cassavetes, Ben Gazzara, and Peter Falk as 3 married middle-aged men who are going through a midlife crisis, and it follows their adventures from New York to London as they go through this kind of journey of self-discovery and where they are in their lives. It's done with an improvisational approach that really gets you close to these characters and is a startlingly honest and authentic film. My next pick stars Woody Allen, but this is a different kind of Woody Allen movie. It's The Front from 1976, a political comedy set in the 50s during the McCarthy era. Woody Allen agrees to front for his friends who are TV writers but unable to get work because of the blacklist. It's a very poignant and funny film, directed by Martin Ritt and starring the great Zero Mostel, as well as the supporting cast of actors who actually were blacklisted during the McCarthy era. Speaking of political films, my next pick is the 1954 animated version of George Orwell's classic story Animal Farm, a darkly satiric critique of communism in Soviet Russia told through the story of a group of barnyard animals and their revolution against a farmer and the power struggles that ensue. Now, what's unique about this version is that it was actually funded by the CIA to influence the American public's perception of Soviet Russia during the Cold War, but it's still a very effective adaptation of Orwell's story. On a lighter note is my next choice, John Waters' Cecil B Demented. You gotta love that title. This is a comedy from 2000 about a group of cinematic terrorists who kidnap a Hollywood star, played by Melanie Griffith, who's on location in Baltimore shooting her next movie, and they hold her hostage and force her to star in their own twisted indie film. This is a very funny satire of the late 90s Hollywood movie business, and even of the Baltimore film scene, as only John Waters could tell it. My last selection is one of my all-time favorite films, Ghost World from 2001, directed by Terry Zwigoff. Thora Birch and Scarlett Johansson star as a pair of high school friends who begin to grow apart after graduation as they kind of go in their different directions in life and develop their own personalities and interests. And it's a very poignant and unique coming-of-age movie about that moment when you're really starting to discover and pursue your own path in life.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt, for the recommendations. Those are all cool movies, and I definitely like them. The Front was actually there's a Simpsons episode also called The Front, which I know was inspired by that movie. That's a really great one. Anyway, I hope you enjoy those recommendations. I hope you check out Tubi. It's a great free streaming service, so if you're hurting right now and want to watch a good movie, they have a lot of good ones. Also, subscribe to Matt's YouTube channel. He has a new short film. You should definitely check out that there. He's been a great friend of mine for a long time and an amazing cinephile. You should definitely subscribe to him, follow him on Twitter, all those great things. Anyway, I hope we gave you something to watch right now in the long month of August, and I hope that you'll enjoy some of our recommendations.